Um, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, professionals around the world. And good morning to you, Nigeria. Good morning to you, Northern Nigeria. I am indeed delighted. I'm pleased to welcome you to the ICPSP First Northern Zonal Conference held today, 10th December 2020. On behalf of the President of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professionals, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Arebame, I want to first welcome all distinguished guest speakers, including keynote speakers and lead paper presenters to today's conference. Today's conference is very historical in the history of our country. We're discussing theme that sits within thinking beyond the obvious, the new agenda for leadership. To start today's conference, I would like to first invite the Institute President, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Arebame, to kindly give opening remarks and, of course, our presidential address, then declare the conference open. Dr. Folashade, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Olanrewaju Serefa. Thank you, everyone. It is with tremendous pleasure that I welcome you all to the maiden edition of this Northern Conference of the Institute. With the enormous support of our Institute distinguished Vice President, in person of Malam Shehu Ibrahim Idris and his entire Northern team, we extend a sincere gratitude towards your incredibly warm reception. And not forgetting the presence of our Northern Conference Chairman, Mr. Ganiu Latif, and the entire membership of the Institute Governing Council. I know a vast majority of us has traveled from quite a distance. I would like to acknowledge everyone who has made a long trip solely to participate in the conference, especially participants from various locations, such as Lagos, Ibadan, Zaria, Kaduna, Sokoto, and all those joining via our virtual channels. In brief, I would like to reiterate our Institute's 7-point agenda as organized below. First, membership drive. This will bring about the expansion of the membership across all the geopolitical zone of the nation and beyond the shores of our beloved nation, Nigeria. 2, continuing professional development, CPD. The program comes on monthly as geared towards equipping and exposing our members, non-members, and intended members to current and emerging issues within the corporate and public sectors in which we can play a role in and be part of. Number 3, international collaboration and recognized UK degree. I am pleased to bring to our notice an ongoing working partnership with the UK higher education provider, with the benefits in terms of whooping 40% discount academic tuition fee for members who would like to enroll for flexible UK academic programs. In diploma, level 7, level 4 to level 7, BA, MBA, MC degree program. That is the master's program. Number 4, international conference and events. The Institute has published a save date banner for 2021 International Conference in Dubai and UK respectively. It is open to both existing members and non-members. Team, light up your future. Conference is scheduled for February and March, the first quarter of 2021. Number 5, NYSC scheme and state coordinator. The scheme consists of optional and mandatory courses. By March 2021, the Institute will commence our NYSC professional examination scheme through the state coordinators, and this is open to all participants seated here today. Benevolent Fund. This is aimed towards the growth of the Institute. For furthermore, I carry on Georges by using this opportunity to ask my fellow members of the Distinguished Institute, other corporate members, and well-meaning Nigerians to join in with this great cause by donating generously to ICPC Benevolent Fund. Number 7, Institute Secretariat. We have the Institute, the Secretariat of the Institute is on a rented apartment and located on the 4th floor church, Gate Plaza, at plot 47, Constitution Avenue, CBD, Abuja, Nigeria. By the grace of God, in unity, we shall work hand in hand with all our stakeholders towards securing a conducive permanent site for the benefit of our members as a whole. With great affection in my heart, I would like to extend my gratitude towards everyone present here today and those following the event virtually on our various social media platforms. Thank you for divining the threats and obstacles and distance and participating against all odds. Together we shall progress. For further information, will be disseminated to you on the Institute website. With a warm welcome heart, the conference is hereby declared open. God bless you all, and God bless Nigeria. And I said thank you very much.
Thank you. And that was the speech of the president of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professionals of Nigeria. The speech was delivered by the president herself, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Arebame, who also, within her power as the president of the Institute, declared the conference open. And thank you so much once again, Mrs. President. And then you can then take your seat while the conference proceeds. It's now time to listen to our keynote speaker, who will be taking us today on the theme management professionalism and the reality of serving public interest. To deliver this lecture today is a renowned professor, Professor Kabiru Isa Dandago. Professor Kabiru Isa Dandago is a professor in the Department of Accounting, Faculty of Management Science, Bayero University, Kano, Nigeria. Professor has a long-standing professorship, and of course, he's an expert and, of course, a professional of repute. He's hold a PhD and, of course, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxations of Nigeria, a fellow of the Association of Nigerian Certified Accountant. The ANAN is a fellow Nigerian Institute of Management, and of course, Professor also held many other professional qualifications. Today, like I said, Professor is going to be taking us on the topic management of professionalism management and the reality of serving public interest. Professor, I've just managed to make you the host, and then you will be able to share your slide on the screen, and then you should unmute yourself while we listen to you. Professor, you have just about 30 minutes to deliver your lecture today, and I believe that all of us here on this virtual platform, also those who are physically present in the North, will be very much pleased to hear you speak, sir. Over to you, Professor. Over to you.
Thank you very much, the MC. The President of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professionals, the Vice President, other members of the Governing Council, online and offline, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, when we talk about professionals, we are talking about people that have agreed to be public interest servants wherever they find themselves.
Professor, sorry for interrupting you. Can I ask that the hall, we need to mute the hall? I think we have some.
All right, can I continue?
Thank you so much. Thank you, the chair of the conference. Okay, thank you. Yes, Professor, you can continue now.
All right, thank you very much. Public interest service is a big challenge to not only those in position of leadership, but professionals as well. A professional person may belong to a professional body, and that professional body will have code of conduct to be observed. And checking through all of conduct of professional bodies, you will see some attribute being repeated. The attribute of integrity is everywhere. And integrity is about being honest all the time. It is about saying the truth, even if it is at a point, at a gunpoint. It is about caring for the less privileged, caring for the masses, and then emphasizing greatly on the system that you are serving. This is, to me, the most important attribute of professionalism. That professional is expected to demonstrate at any given time. There are other attributes like independence, confidentiality, etc., etc. So this paper addresses the issue of management professionalism that a professional is expected to show, and the relationship between it and the realities of serving public interest. Serving public interest is not an easy task. So a professional person is expected to overcome the difficulties, the challenges of serving public interest for that person to be accepted as a professional. So to do justice to this paper, we have some issues to address. One, management, the concept of management, what is it about? What about management professionalism itself and developmental problems, particularly in corporate and public sector, private sector, public sector? The people managing these sectors actually demonstrating management professionalism, and then the concept of public interest, and why do we see professional as public interest servant? How would they serve the public very well? And then what are the standard ways of serving public interest? And then finally, the realities of serving public interest, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa.
Hello, Professor.
I can hear you.
Professor, can we quickly? Yes, we are having a playback situation, and it's making the quality of your. We're having a playback situation, and it's making the quality of your speech.
Back. There is no noise here.
Okay.
Maybe you are getting the noise from somewhere, but not from the hall where I'm making the presentation.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So if you can go on, I think you can go on now. Yeah, I think you should go on now. I think you should go on now.
Okay. So we have some recommendation and concluding remark at the end. So management, since we are talking about management professionalism, participants need to understand the concept of management. They said it is the process of getting things done to other people.
Okay, so Professor is not currently connected now. I think there's a little bit of technical issues there. I'm worried about the playback. do we have the chair of the conference there? My apologies, I've been on mute, and yes, I'm back. So today we are having some connection issue in the north. There is a slight connection issue in the north. So I'd like to hand over to a renowned professionals who will take us through some important keynote lead paper address. The person of Mr. Benedict. Mr. Benedict, over to you. I think I have speaker connection issue from me as well. Over to you.
I can hear you very well. Just enable me to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be in the midst of professionals to discuss a very important subject that I believe is very dear to my heart. I want us to quickly ponder with this conference that is going on today. There's one message I want the members of this great institute to actually ponder. Every member of ICPSP, as part of this conference, please look into this issue of governance. And that's what I call a framework for globally competitive leaders. The world has become a global village. Take a look at this picture. This is how industrialization has grown over the years. You know, the first industrialization revolution was in the 1700 when we had the steam engine. Coal was discovered. They needed workers from Europe. They had to start coming to Africa to buy up our people as slaves and all that. Industrialization moved again in the 1814 or thereabout when electricity was discovered. That led to another form of innovation, and you had the different forms of management leaders. That's when they started having corporations, joint stock companies. Of course, a lot of organizations lost their businesses. A lot of people lost their careers. And then we moved down to the third industrial revolution, which you could say from the 1950s. That's when computing was discovered, the mainframe computers, the personal computers, now the laptop that we are seeing and all of that. The third industrial revolution is actually what we call the period of automation. Now that we are moving, in fact, we have moved into the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is the period of connectivity, where everybody is connected together. The leadership expectation has changed completely. We are now in a global village. So you cannot sit in your corner and think you're a champion. You need to have some kind of global view of whatever you're doing. And that's why I believe that the members of ICPSP must begin to develop themselves or begin to see themselves from a global perspective when it comes to the issue of governance. Let's share a few stories. Let me take you guys back to a few stories. If you remember 10 years ago, when there was the British Petroleum had this problem in the Gulf of Mexico, where there was a sea quake and the rig exploded, causing the sea in Mexico to be filled with oil. 11 rig workers died. It was estimated that almost all the sea animals within the area died, and an estimated 4.2 million barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico. It was also estimated that almost $61.6 billion was spent to clean the oil. I think they've not completed the cleaning. British Petroleum was fined some, I think about 2 or 20 billion pounds, which they were to pay over a space of 10 years, meaning they are probably paying the last batch this year. The problem with that environment was this. The board of British Petroleum were informed that there was something unusual about the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, the explorer, their staff who did exploration of that environment, explained that there was some kind of movement underground that was very unusual. So the auditors presented this information to the board, and the board said, what does that imply? And they said the implication is that there could be an explosion from underground. And they said, okay, if that happens, so what would it mean? It means that they got the feedback that there'll be oil spill and they were going to suffer this kind of thing. So the board asked the auditors, what can we do? The auditor says, well, you can actually insure this exercise we're going to this project. And what's the insurance premium? The total insurance premium was going to be about 2.1, about 200 million pounds per annum. And the board asked the auditors, how often has this kind of accident occurred before? They said, yes, it's occurred before, but not in the Gulf of Mexico. The probability that it will occur will be 1 over 1,000. I mean, 1 over 1,000 is 0.0000. So if you are sitting on the board and they told you that, look, hey, spend $200 million to insure a risk that probably the probability of its occurrence will be 1 over 1,000, what will you do? Obviously, the board took a decision and says, gentlemen, this may not even happen in our lifetime, so we're not doing any insurance. Let's ignore it. Unfortunately, 6 months down the line, the thing happened and they lost everything. They are still paying, you know, for the damages up to today. So think about why, if you are sitting on the board of British Petroleum that day, what would you have advised the board? Let's look at another case. The case of Enron. In fact, Enron was touted to be, there is a book written, The Smartest Guys in the Room. They had the best brains around. Enron used a new kind of, a kind of accounting that suited them, which is marked to market accounting. You know, our traditional accounting make a provision for something that you are not sure will happen. Enron will not make any provision. They had conflicts of interest, they never disclosed it. But I discovered something, they will package it and sell it as an instrument in the stock exchange. There was a time they had discussions with Lagos State government about drilling oil in Lagos State. They had not concluded that discussion. In fact, the governor of Lagos State government then was Tinubu. Tinubu had not yet signed the agreement. Enron had gone to New York Stock Exchange, and they had they had already announced that in the New York Stock Exchange, and their share price rose. There was a discussion about water, something they were going to do in Italy about water. They had not started. They already announced it they securitized it, that's the word. They securitized, so they will get the value of that project and put a value on it and put the number of shares, and people will buy. Meanwhile, they've not even started exploring. They did something about network bandwidth. When network had not even started, they said they were going to go into network bandwidth and securitize it. Enron sold almost everything sellable that had not been created. And by the time the bubble will burst, the company collapsed. And of course, for each of those things they took to stock exchange, they had the best audit firm in the world to back them up. Then, at Anderson. At Anderson will sign off every of their claims. So by the time Enron collapsed, at Anderson also collapsed with them. If you are on the management team as a member of ICPSP, when Enron was making all these claims, what would you have done? Let's look at a Nigerian company. I don't know if you know this company. Permit me to mention the word. I mean, if I describe it, you probably know the company. They are based in Lagos. One of the oldest, well-established paper mill in Nigeria. Very old. At the time, every exercise book printed in Nigeria was from this place. Every textbook, everything that was being printed in Nigeria was printed from these people. They had resources. They had money. They were importing raw materials. Meanwhile, the raw materials are in Nigeria. Somebody advised them that they need to start investing in local production, because it won't be long that the paper milling industry will become a cottage industry. Everybody will start making it. And they agreed. The first thing they did was they decided to create a factory, to build a factory. But inside that factory, they first built houses for staff, bought vehicles for management team. And then the machine that they were going to use, they were going to import it. And after agreeing, I think about $200 million or so, $20 million, something like that. After agreeing on everything, between the time they agreed to make investment and the time they were about to spend the money, exchange rate of dollar moved from 4 naira to dollar to 8 naira to dollar. When they were about to spend, it was 8 naira to dollar. They said, stop the investment. They called the CFO, stop. They said, no, we're not going to wait. We're not going to invest this money again. Let's wait. That dollar will fall. Dollar will fall. When it falls back to 4 naira, we will make the investment. 6 months later, dollar rose 13 naira. Unfortunately, from that day to today, dollar is now over 500 naira to $1. They cannot even invest. They've lost out of that market. My question to you is, if you, as a member of ICPSP, you're on the board or executive of that paper mill, and dollar rose from 4 naira to 8 naira, would you have said, let's go ahead and invest? Because even if dollar rises more, the value of our machine, the value of our company would have even risen. Would you have agreed with them and said, let's wait? And that waiting never produced a good result. Think about this other organization, Volkswagen. Winterkorn was the MD of Volkswagen, and he shamefully left the company after his vehicles were found to have cheated US emission tests. He claimed to have no knowledge of the wrongdoings. Sorry, somebody raising their hands. I need to know what's for. Are you hearing me?
Continue, sir. We're hearing you.
Okay.
We're hearing you, yes.
Okay. So that MD was forced to resign. And when he resigned, a member of the board wrote, and he said, we need in the future a climate in Volkswagen where problems will not be hidden. We want an environment where problems should be openly communicated to superiors. We need a culture in which it's possible and permissible to argue with your superiors about the best way to go. That statement told everybody in the world what must have happened in Volkswagen. Probably what must have happened was that the MD was too powerful and he made sure everybody was loyal to him and not to the organization. It was too powerful that even when people see that the MD was doing wrong, they will not talk, because if you talk, you will enter into trouble. If you are a member of ICPSP in the management of Volkswagen when this was happening, what would we have done? Let's look at these last two cases. I mean, this one about IBM, it's one of the biggest management problems, and IBM still regrets it today. IBM was the biggest organization then when they were using typewriter. And these young guys came up, these young innovators came up and talked about a copier, photocopier. They came up with an idea of a photocopy machine where after typing something, you will begin to photocopy and have multiple copies. Then, if you wanted to give something to 20 people, after you type the first one, you would type again, second one, you type again, one, you'll be typing and typing. These guys came up with the idea of a photocopy machine. But they didn't have money. So they approached management of IBM and wanted IBM to take up 70% stake in this organization, just to give them the money to invest and start manufacturing photocopier. IBM called their consultant, whose name was Atodilito, and asked them to advise them. Atodilito looked at these young people and said, these young people don't have experience in management. What are they talking about? They told IBM to not invest in that copier business. And IBM refused to invest. These young boys were dogged. They refused to be disappointed. They struggled and struggled and struggled. And 6 months down the line, they produced the first photocopy machine. The rest is history. Photocopier revolutionized the whole world. That Xerox machine became the biggest. I mean, eventually, as we speak today, Xerox has, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago, bought IBM. You know, so IBM is, even though they still keeping the name, the company itself is actually took over the bigger guys. The management of IBM as at then made a key strategic mistake. If you were on the board of IBM when these innovators met you guys, what would you have advised? And finally, let's look at Kodak. Kodak was a leader. Kodak democratized photography. Before Kodak came, everybody, you can't use, there was not like a camera for an individual. For you to have a camera, it will cost a lot of money. You need to be a professional, you know, so you want a picture, you need to go to a photography office and they will snap you, pay a lot of money. Kodak built the first, you know, personal photography. Over time, Kodak saw that people have started manufacturing phones and they were putting camera on phones. Kodak saw it coming, but Kodak had become too big to change. Within 17 years, Kodak, that was a leader in everything, collapsed and became bankrupt. When the MD of Kodak was asked, he said, we saw it coming. We knew technology was changing. We started our business as innovators. We saw the new innovation, but why we didn't change, we don't know. Why we didn't embrace that new technology, we don't know. And today, Kodak is bankrupt. If you are a member of ICPSP on the management room of Kodak, when these things was being discussed, what would we have done? Now you see, the common denominator in all these stories of failures I mentioned, the common denominator was failure of governance. There was no independent governance framework in place in this organization, which is what I want us to really look at in this conference. One of the things I really want this professional body to consider. Governance has been defined as the structures and processes that are designed to ensure accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, and stability. In fact, governance is about leadership from the top, but not just that, leadership at every level. Governance is about having structures independent of the holders, where somebody will say, I'm sorry, MD, this is a mistake. by giving this information, we cannot go this way. And the guy will not be afraid of losing his job or losing his position. That is governance. Now, the key to business success in today's global village, you know, we say we are in a fourth industrial revolution, a connected world. The key to success for every business, whether you're in private sector or public sector, is to have very strong governance frameworks. And the members of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professionals must champion it. You must see yourself as governance evangelists to champion this in every environment you find yourself. What are the core governance areas I believe you guys should be looking into? I don't have much time, so I'm going to run through this. Strategic and business operations governance, risk governance, technology governance, HR governance. In the area of strategic and business operations, members of ICPSC must see themselves as strategic business partners. You must ensure that you get involved in strategic leadership at every level where you find yourself. Risk, you must get involved in the risk management wherever you find yourself. Technology governance is very, very key that I believe that every member of ICPSP must be involved in. In fact, your regular compulsory education must include technology governance. Members of this professional body in your various organizations must sit at that level where you must make your input when it comes to technology. Because what happens is that organizations spend a lot of money on technology and the return on investment will be little or nothing. Because lack of technology will lead to a lot of issues: internal fraud, omissions, project management failures, spending money without getting results, poor customer service, and all that. So members of the ICPSP, wherever they are, must be part of or introduce governance in the area of technology. What of human resources? Key. Human resources governance encompasses the oversight and leadership of HR strategy, related processes, and programs. You see, the human resource is the key factor of production in the current world today. And if you must play your role as a professional, wherever you find yourself, you must ensure that governance in the area of human resources must be effective. Now, how do you make this effective? I believe that in every organization you find yourself, ensure that there is an executive committee. Whether it's an executive committee at the management level or at the board level, this committee must be independent of the board, independent of management. It could be part of management, part of the board. They must be professionals that will have skills, have competencies, and that will be able to say the truth to anybody without being afraid of losing their job. If you can have this in every organization where you operate, your culture will be different, your management will be different, and ultimately the organization will succeed. In conclusion, your takeaway from this, my presentation is, as part of your discussion in this conference, members of ICPM must become globally competitive. And to do this, you must begin to see yourselves as governance evangelists wherever you are. Ensure that your organizations and your clients institute independent executive committee with the recommended features as I've mentioned before. With this, wherever you are, you can be sure that there will be no corporate failure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much on behalf of the president of the Institute, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Arebame. I want to sincerely appreciate you for this powerful lecture, Mr. Benedicta. You have demonstrated a high level of professionalism with good understanding of corporate governance and good governance. You've approached your lectures from looking at it from the perspective of corporate failures and failure in governance framework or governance arrangement. And in fact, you would agree with me that that is exactly what we are here to do. We are here to think beyond the obvious, a new agenda for leadership. And thank you for setting the background, or thank you for setting the, giving us an insight into what new leadership should be all about, perhaps reminding us at the level of the Institute to continue to embrace good governance structure and, of course, respect for policies and procedures within our various organizations. Thank you so much. Would you be kind to return back the host to me while I now make Professor Kabiru the host, and we can quickly go back to our keynote speaker. Professor Kabiru is a professor of accounting from one of the renowned universities in Nigeria, and it will be fantastic to hear from Professor Kabiru. Professor Kabiru, I'm going to make you the host now. I've just made you the host, Professor Kabiru, and we would love to sit back again and listen to you. Perhaps you will be able to take it from where you stopped before we have the technical issues in Kano. Just in case you're just joining us from anywhere in the world, we are currently at the ICPSP Northern Nigerian Conference, where we look at the team thinking beyond the obvious, the new agenda for leadership. To speak now is Professor Kabiru. Professor Kabiru, you are now the host. Do you mind sharing your slide and taking it from where you stop, Professor Kabiru? You are speaking about professionalism, and be nice to hear from you how much you believe that professionals should uphold professional integrity, uphold professional standard, respect policies, process, and governance arrangements in their various settings and establishment. So if you're just joining us, Professor is Professor of Accounting, and of course, a professional members of several membership organizations. Professor, I would like to hand over to you while you continue your slide, sir.
Thank you very much. I think I will just take the next 10 minutes to summarize the whole paper.
Fantastic.
I have the 11:30 appointment. I came purposely because of this presentation from Lagos. And I started, then I was overthrown, maybe due to technological problem.
Yes,
so I will just continue from where I started. I was trying to explain the concept of management, which is about doing things through other people that a good manager does not do. Or he only gets things done for him and on his behalf. So if we are to promote professionalism, we have to start from the level of management. Yeah, corporate governance and management, they are related. Well, corporate board of directors take care of the corporate governance system. The management take care of the internal control system. So there are many examples to show how a good manager will be managing organization through his subordinate. And these subordinates have to be well trained, they have to be well motivated, and they have to be well coordinated. And I gave an example of how former president of Nigerian Institute of Management defined management, illustrating it with the story of a successful bank chief executive who was asked questions by the journalist as to why his bank is doing very well, is rated as one of the best in Africa. That manager just said that he doesn't do much. He only sits in his office drinking coffee and reading papers. And then practitioners have to define this or explain this description he made of his work by saying that the man must have planned very well what to do and how to do it. He must have mobilized and organize the resources, including human resources, needed to perform the task. And he must have coached, motivated, and empowered those who are to carry out the task. This means that he was only left with the responsibility of monitoring or controlling what is being done and how, with a view to ensuring compliance with the plan. And that is the management through professional demonstration. And a body like the ICPSP should make the members understand this description of management and then encourage them to demonstrate it anywhere they find themselves. You may be a governor, you may be a president, you may be chairman of local government, minister, or whatever. If you insist on doing things yourself, it means that you are not a good manager. You cannot exercise control over the affairs of the organization. You cannot be entrusted with the internal control system of the organization. So, and then we said management professionalism is needed for solving developmental problems. If professionalism is not to be demonstrated in running the affairs of various tiers of government, various levels of companies or businesses, then we will continue to suffer from the failures of this public sector and private sector organization. So this thing have been extensively emphasized that management professionalism is necessary for achieving sustainable economic development, which is about satisfying the need of the present generation without compromising the need of the future generation. If you look at the way African countries, Nigeria inclusive, are being run, those running them, they only take care of themselves. They don't take care of the future generation. They have no much plan about what will be in the future, educationally, medically, and other aspects of ensuring sustainable development. So we need professionals to occupy various positions in both public and private sector organizations for sustainable economic development to be achieved. One scholar has to even reach conclusion that in developing economies like Nigeria, politicians only think about the next generation, next election. They always think about how to make money, how to generate resources for them to use in winning the next election. Their concern is not about the next generation. It is only statement that will be, and professional, of course, that will always be thinking about next generation. So I think this is another issue that this body may have to put in its own strategic thinking, strategic plan to ensure that members understand the challenges ahead. If you want to prove yourself that you're really a professional in public or private sector organization, then we expect you to be somebody that will always be thinking about the future generation, not just about the next election, how to gather wealth for you to be able to win election. Winning the next generation is more important for sustainable economic development than winning the next election. So these are some of the challenges that we have to face as professionals. And since this body has taken the challenge of bringing together all professionals in the public and private sector organization, you should understand that the challenge is very big, or the challenges are enormous. And to overcome them, there is the need for a lot of training, a lot of sensitization. In the course of demonstrating the practicability of management professionalism in corporate and public sector, I made reference to the right of one very serious lady who has done very well in the banking sector. And in that write-off, she tried to show some ways women can be able to do well as they occupy corporate leadership position. And she mentioned some traits that they need to demonstrate. She was saying that they have to have the driving ambition. They should obtain the right education. They should establish good working relationship with their colleagues. particularly their bosses, and they have to be dressing for success. They have to be very competent at their job, and then they should have role model and also mentor. So she made it very clear that a role model is different from a mentor. But somebody can get one person that will serve as both mentor and a role model. And it is when you have these characteristic features and the support of role model and mentor, you'll be expected to be a very good professional in either the public or private sector organization. So both men and women, they are expected to emphasize on this professionalism with a view to ensuring that they become very good public servant. So in this public interest servant, in this presentation, the concept of public interest has been emphasized. We said it is about doing things in the best interest or welfare of the society, prioritizing humanity over personal interest in one's thought and action. Serving public interest demands one seeing himself or herself as a global citizen and treating every human being as brother or sister. It amounts to protection of the environment or the society and all that is in it to avoid any waste and to ensure effective utilization. So anybody that will want to be a professional, that person must accept to be a public interest servant. And for you to be a very good public interest servant, your concern should always be about prioritizing humanity over sectionalism, religious differences, gender differences, etc. That you are all out to ensure that human beings enjoy better life. Any person you meet anywhere, you consider that person as your brother or sister. So these are some of the issues to note for you to be seen as a real professional. And then how do you serve public interest effectively? There are 5 things to note on that. High regard should be put on educational development. You need to be competent and become an expert in your area. You have to demonstrate ethics all the time. And then strong sense of professionalism must be demonstrated. And a lot of areas are there for you to work to show the professionalism in you. Then there are standard ways of serving public interest. So these ways are about ensuring that you demonstrate all the major ethics, that is fundamental principle, in order to achieve the set objective of your organization. We talk about integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. So all these have to be taken care of by a professional for that person to be able to serve public interest well and to make some marks in developing the life of the people for the purpose of coming up with a sustainable economic development. So the realities of serving public interest are many. In this paper, I highlighted just 5. The weakness of the business environment, political, social, economic, technological, etc. environment, particularly in developing economy. This is a reality that a professional should take note of. And then inadequacy of opportunities for professionals to serve public interest. You want to serve public interest as a professional, but the opportunities to do that are not adequate. And then, of course, low capacity utilization as professionals serve public interest. And there are a lot of threats to integrity, to confidentiality, to independence, and to objectivity. Then you have few chances for increased socialization through training and retraining, weak collaboration, partnership, or strategic alliance among professionals. We can hear the president in her speech talking about the need for collaboration with internal organization and even foreign organization. So without that collaboration, of course, making it very strong, and no professional body will be able to succeed in achieving its set objective. And then trust and confidence are not well preserved among professionals in Africa. And of course, there is a need to catch up with the rapid technological advancement in the country, particularly this artificial intelligence. And I think the last speaker has commented a lot on that. So on the overall, I have this few recommendations to make to professional and of course to this professional body. I said, despite all odds, professional managers or leaders should be committed to ensuring corporate and public sector organizations prudence, transparency, and accountability. In Nigeria in particular, we suffer a lot from these three problems: poor prudence, poor transparency, and poor accountability, particularly in the public sector. So these are all that we have to fight as professionals to ensure that they are made very clear, prudent, transparency, and accountability. And we should hold government responsible for all these three issues, since the government is holding a position of trust on the resources that belong to all of us. Then professional managers should not jettison their hard-earned integrity because of threat to loss of job or even life. Their honor should be prioritized over worldly material. So this is a matter of integrity. A professional body has to make its members to understand the need for them to face this challenge. You have your integrity to protect. The threat to loss of job or even life should not make you to jettison your integrity. Job, you can get another one, and life, you will not lose it until when it is time for you to lose it. And you definitely, you must die. But your integrity will continue to follow you anywhere you go. Professional managers should help client or employers adapt to any situation to grow and expand. And professionals should safeguard public interest at all costs. It gives a lot of moral and professional satisfaction to safeguarding public interest. And then professionals should have greater focus on long-term career demand rather than short-term career development. Such development is always worthwhile. And finally, professionals should develop integrated competencies in all areas of accounting, finance, business, technology, etc., so as to enhance their relevance to large pool of clients and members. So this body has to encourage its members to generate clients that will be enjoying their services. And then to serve your client very well, you have to develop very strong integrated competencies in relevant areas. And then to be a very good employee to an organization as a professional person, you need to have integrated competencies in all areas. So these are some of the issues to note by the body and of course the members. So in conclusion, I said serving public interest is not an easy task, even to well-established professionals who are expected to mentor future professionals to grow to maturity. For the African economy to grow and develop on a sustainable basis, management professionalism must be allowed to be well operationalized. Then serving public interest is what will ensure the professionals' ability to play their role is. in bringing about economic and social transformation in the South African, in the Sub-Saharan Africa and beyond. So these are some of my feeling about this topic and about the challenges this professional body should be ready to face in ensuring management professionalism, which is necessary for achieving sustainable economic development anywhere in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Kabiru Isa Dangodo, for that powerful keynote address. Professor Dangodo today is speaking or just concluded his keynote address at the ICPSP Northern Nigerian Conference, which is held today under the leadership of the president of the Institute, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Arebame. Professor, thank you for that powerful lectures that touch so much on professionalism and, of course, the code of conduct or expectation of professionals within the new Nigerian. If you're just joining us, that was the keynote address of Professor Kabiru Isa Dangodo that he delivered or is just delivered at the ICPSP annual of Northern Conference held today, 10th December 2020. The theme of the conference is Thinking Beyond the Obvious. I want to personally, on behalf of the president of the Institute, appreciate Professor Kabiru and, of course, do request the permission of the president that Professor Kabiru can take his leave while we start or we move to the first panel session of today's conference. The first panel session of today's conference, we'll be looking at a sub-theme which is titled Governance is King. And to sit on the panel or to discuss this title or this topic with me are three professionals who are track record or who is known for doing well in what they do. And joining me on this panel is the lady among the panelists, the person of Ndidi Nduka. Ndidi Nduka is here. Ndidi is a professional with track record who's will be discussing the team governance or the sub-team governance is king. Also on this panel is another professional, a distinguished professional with several academic and professional qualification. His name is Alhaji Shehu Sali Adamu Kwaru. Alhaji will also sit on this panel to discuss some very important topic around the team, sub-team governance is king. And also on the panel is a gentleman, a chartered accountant. His name is Mr. Oluwatumi Ninu Olowe. Mr. Oluwatumi Ninu Olowe is a chartered accountant and he's got experience and he's going to also be discussing the team governance is king. Can I now quickly ask that we ensure that we are not echoing in the background? There seems to be echo in the background. Okay, thank you. So we are now in a panel session. 1 second. So in this panel session, we have Mr. Oluwatumi Ninu, who is a chartered accountant. Ndidi is also a professional with track record. And of course, Alhaji will be joining us. Alhaji is joining us live from Kano. Alhaji Shehu Sali Adamu Kwari. May I quickly request that Alhaji sits? Okay, Alhaji, we can see Alhaji now. Is it possible to set Alhaji background properly? Okay, thank you. So while I come back to Alhaji, thank you guys for joining us, professionals. Thank you so much. If you're just joining us, this is the ICPSP Northern Nigerian Conference 2020 with the theme Thinking Beyond the Obvious, the new agenda for leadership. Now we are now at the panel section discussing with three professionals, Ndidi, Sali, and Oluwatumi Ninu. The three of these experts or professionals will be speaking around the theme Governance is King. To start with, Ndidi, Tuminino, and Sally, I want you to give at least 2 minutes opening remark. I just wanted to give us, a brief background of yourself, and obviously just to give an insight into what you would like to speak about. Can I start from Ndidi, please? Ndidi, do you want to have a 2 minute opening remark and, of course, 2 minutes of background of yourself, please?
Thank you, Danny. Excited to be here today.
Just a quick correction. My name is Olarewaju, and I'm the chairman of the conference. I'm not Ganiyu.
Oh, Olarewaju, yeah.
I'm the chairman of the panel. Ganiyu is the conference chair. Thank you so much, Ndidi. Over to you.
Okay, my name is Ndidi Nduka. I've been in the banking sector for over a decade. I'm currently working as a professional finance manager of several establishments. Probably most of them are cooperatives and fintechs, where I offer advisory services for portfolio management and leadership. So today we'll be talking about leadership, and not just leadership and corporate governance, but strategic leadership and how to apply it to modern day governance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to add to your opening remarks, Ndidi will shape his thought around the title Governance and Leadership, a synopsis for enterprise innovation in the new norms. Thank you, Ndidi, for that opening remarks. Let me go to Oluwatumininu. Oluwatumininu, Mr. Olowe, it's very nice to have you on this panel. Do you mind having your first 2 minutes opening remark and a brief insight about yourself, please?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, other panels, all protocols duly observed. My name is Oluwatumininu Olowe. Like mentioned, I'm a chartered accountant. I had a long time in the banking industry. I also work with government, Federal Inland Revenue Service as a tax auditor. But now I'm in private practice. I senior consultant at Agbodege & Co, chartered accountant. I'm also a co-founder at Upwest Solutions Nigeria Limited, where we've developed a school management application for educational institutions in Nigeria, which we name Schoolbox. That's our own way of adding value and making the educational institution compliant with the new age, bridging the gap between parents, the school, and the students. I'm on this panel this morning, and I'll be looking at the topic from the point of governance and the challenges of national change management. That is the part I'll be contributing to the theme of this seminar, which is thinking beyond the obvious, the new agenda for leadership.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Olowe, for taking time to join this panel today. May I quickly go to Kano to speak to Alhaji Sally Adamu Kwaru. Alhaji, are you there? Can you give us just a 2 minute brief background of yourself and a brief insight into what you will be speaking about today on this panel titled Governance is King?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, moderator. Am I loud?
Yes, please go on, Alhaji.
Yeah. I first of all want to thank the ICPSC for having and getting me fit to be part of this session. Again, it's like all that I needed to say on this panel discussion has been said by the two speakers, that is Prof. and Mr. Benedict. However, I think this is something I think I also need to ask some viewers to eat. On my own background, all my working career has been with the Central Bank of Nigeria, where I served for close to 30 years. And I'm presently been in the education sector, running private schools. I'm also part of the economic endeavor and economic strength of my state, which is Kano State. I'm part of the Economic Recovery Committee. And at the same time, I'm the Registrar of Community Brokers Association of Nigeria. I have a special interest in commercial agriculture, education, and of course, community development. I look forward to a very robust session with the other panelists today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alhaji Sally Adamu Kwari. Alhaji will speak and, of course, around the team governance and leadership in managerial perspective. Where do I go first? Let me go to Mr. Olowe first. Mr. Olowe, as you know, we're speaking about the team governance is king. And when we speak about governance, we sometimes can't separate the word leadership from governance. And to get to the heart of this topic, or to attract the feelings of our audience who are looking at us globally or who are dialing in globally, let's talk about empathy. How does empathy matters in leadership? What is empathy in leadership?
In leadership, empathy, actually, I would say it as very key, very, very important. Because when you have a leader with empathy, he would have a way or a process of understanding what matters, what is important, what should be in focus. And then it will give him the understanding of how to communicate. Because when you understand where the shoe pinches, you'll be able to communicate. Because sometimes, or most times, you have to be careful not to get carried away with the hubris of being a leader, the close circle, keeping you, if you're not careful, they'll keep you out of reach of the people. So empathy will make you connect with the people to understand what is required, not what is wanted. Because what is wanted may not be what is required. What is required, what is needed. Empathy would allow the leader to understand that and be able to focus, to be able to deliver that, and for the benefit of everybody concerned.
I think I like the word being connected to your followers as a leader. I like that word, that empathy allows you to be connected to your followers. And I think I should quickly speak to Alhaji. Alhaji, why do you think that a leader that is connected to his follower can drive effective and efficient administration? I mean, looking at it from what Mr. Olowe just said, how or why do you think a connected leader can drive effective and efficient administration? Alhaji, over to you.
Well, leadership is all about taking responsibility. It's all about being people-centered. It's all about trying to see how one gets to address the concern of the people. So for a leader, actually, it's part of the responsibility that he needs to bring forward his people concern and see how best he can come closer and try to address it. Leadership is all about, like I said, people being centered towards people, to staying together with the people and see how best you can address their needs.
Fantastic. I think addressing people's needs should be pretty much from a strategic point of view, in which case it means looking at it from the top below. But let me speak to Ndidi. Ndidi, do you mind touching on strategic leadership around corporate governance? What do you think this is, and how would you package this to our audience?
Thank you. Ola, I would like to say that, this is a new era. We're in a new dispensation now, and I really like the theme for this program, thinking beyond the obvious. Currently, we need to look at leadership and governance from the view of being strategic. This is an era where it's a new normal. We need to look at doing things in a different way. Strategic leadership talks about identifying the specific goals, identifying specific objectives, and then finding creative solutions, which are usually not around the regular things we've known. So talking about strategic leadership, we'll look at being visionary, look at being very innovative. Right now, Prof said something about AI. AI is the new normal. So being strategic leadership today would concern us being empathic. What are the people saying? How do we respond to them? How do we communicate? Strategic leadership would also involve corporate governance, explaining to the people what exactly the economy is, what we're trying to achieve in the economy by several policies being rolled out. Strategic leadership will also look at collaborations and partnerships, probably with other economies that are thriving well, and see what they are deploying to their own economies and see how to apply this. So I would want to say that leadership today and governance should look at being more strategic than just ordinary leadership.
Oh, thank you so much, Ndidi, for that. You mentioned governance a lot in your response, and I'm wondering that if one speak about governance, then people might ask us and say, what is governance or what is good governance? Can I go to Olowe, do you want to please touch on what is good governance? What is corporate governance or what is good governance?
Well, good governance from my own point of view is that governance that gives everybody, every citizen, the opportunity to actualize themselves. And before you can get people there, because you have to go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are some basic things that governance should provide for the citizens. Now, if governance could get that done, then we're on the way. Once you take out the basic, then every citizen has the opportunity to climb up that ladder to self-actualization. So governance to me is that which gives every citizen the opportunity to take a progressive step up that ladder of the Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Oh, fantastic. I love the way you've looked at governance, Mr. Olowe. You've looked at governance, yes, Oluwatumininu, you've looked at governance from helping the society to achieve the various strands of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I think I should speak to Alhaji Sali. Alhaji, do you mind touching on the governance arrangement and the leadership skills or the leadership arrangement or the leadership style that could jointly produce a corporate result or a successful outcome for an entity? Alhaji, are you there? Okay, Alhaji is not there. I'll come back to Alhaji.
I'm
okay.
here.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I was just asking. Go on.
Hello.
Yes, go on, please.
Okay. It's like I've gotten this term right. When you talk of governance actually is like one can define it as like an institutional framework where rules, relationships, processes, and systems are being put together in order to achieve an organizational goal. It normally is an endeavor that really comes from the top of the corporate, that is from the board of directors or whoever are charged with the responsibility of setting standards. What they do at that level is to come up with the normal regulations, establish the business rules, and how the establishment is to be run. You can see that their role is very strategic, like Ndidi has said, and whatever success the organization achieves actually gets from their visionary statement. However, on the leadership aspect, they are the executioners, they are the enablers, the key enablers that will help to ensure that those critical decisions, those strategic intent that has been established are well and properly executed. The two, both governance and leadership, must really work together. They complement one another. It is indeed like a two-way link between the leadership and the governance. And where one is not effective, that will also make the other aspect being very, very ineffective. So for every establishment to succeed, there has to be that handshake, that synergy between the two concepts for it to really get the better result for the corporate, for the organization to succeed.
Thank you so much, Alhaji Sali. I think I should go back to Ndidi. Ndidi, the reason why I'm coming to you now is I want us to look at IT governance. We're speaking today around the theme governance is king, but I think IT is very important to drive a successful governance arrangement, perhaps to sort of have an easy way to making things happen. And when we speak about IT, we speak about innovation. Ndidi, can you talk about innovation as a pivotal to achieving governance objective or perhaps growth and success in whatever context that one may put it.
Thank you, Ola. Okay, one of the pivots for strategic leadership is actually innovation. So innovation brings to the table what is actually available in the world today that would make things to be done in an easier and a faster way. So when we bring innovative systems into our economy and adopt it in corporate governance, you see our education gets better. We deploy artificial intelligence to make things work. Okay, we had COVID-19 this year in Nigeria, right? And everything went online. But it's amazing that everything could actually have been online before now. So when I believe that corporate governance should look away from the norm and look at different ways of making things work. Innovation is deploying available technology today to help us achieve more. I believe we should go, like strategic leadership would say, look for different pivot points in the economy that would cause sustainable growth. And when you look at education, like Prof mentioned, look at education, look at good quality health, look at promoting economic activities in the economy, and we apply innovative ideas, innovative technology to all of these different sectors, we believe that things will be much better.
Oh, thank you so much, indeed. That was very fantastic response, perhaps because you mentioned education, health, innovation, and of course the need of the society. And because of those words, I like to go to Mr. Oluwatomininu. Mr. Oluwatomininu, do you want to touch base on the importance of societal needs or setting agenda around societal need with respect to leadership?
Yes, actually, there won't be leaders without a society. You have to have a community to have leaders. So it is very important that it is not actually the leaders that are setting the agenda. It is the society, because the norm, when we say culture, norm, it comes from acceptable practices of the society. Now, the leaders are coming from out of the society, and we've chosen them to represent those norms that we accepted, that we see as our way of life. So the question we're going to ask ourselves is, how has the society make available candidates, good candidates, to fill the position of leadership? Because there's this that my wife uses, and he says that education, that you cannot expect the school to give your child what you've not taught that child from home, because education starts from home. We are seen as the giant of Africa. Of course, the obvious is that giant is sleeping. And why is the giant sleeping? Because we found a way to outsource our own responsibility as society to whoever is the leader. He should just go ahead and do whatever he likes. Now, if we have chosen a leader to represent us, if he's not doing well, the society should have a way of taking him out. We can go back to the Spartans in old Greece. The society has said that we are going to be a society of warriors. So they developed a way to ensure that the children born into that society are trained to become warriors. Do we have a fair system in place to nurture, identify, recruit, and support leaders to get into position in our society? That is why the society is important, to set agenda, because it sees this agenda of the society that the leader should pursue. Now, when we have a leader that is pursuing his own agenda, it is going to become glaring that what he's doing is different from our accepted norm. So if we come back to our society.
Thank you, Mr. Oluwatomininu. We're running out of time. Okay. I love that your analogy around the need to take in to make sure that society is important. Alhaji, can you unmute? I'll come back to you. Alhaji or Sally, can you unmute? I'll come back to you. But before I come back to Alhaji, I'm looking at the United Nations Goal 17, that's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 17, that speak around partnership for the goal. Partnership for the goal is what UN is looking at and what is saying around Goal 17. And I agree with Mr. Oluwatomininu that we cannot achieve societal need unless we partner with one another globally. Can you touch base on partnership and collaboration in this new era? What does it mean as far as governance is concerned? What does it mean to you? What would you like to say?
Thank you, Ola. I'd like to say that no economy can survive on its own. We need to partner together. We need to collaborate. And amazingly, this year, the 26th Nigerian Economic Summit Group had an interesting theme. The theme was building partnerships for resilience. And it was narrowed down to winning together in a crisis, a business-friendly fiscal strategy on unlocking revenue growth. That was the topic for this year at the NESG. That's amazing. So we all need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to partner. We can't do it alone. Leadership is about looking out to others to help us achieve what we could do. And it's amazing that, let's look back at, let me talk to my senior colleagues that worked in the bank. 10 years ago, banking was such that you would need to physically go into the bank, do your transfers. Right now, everything is on the phone. Right now, mobile devices are physical banks walking around. We have fintechs all around the place that are providing these same services that the old generation banks did. Right now, when you look at the fleet management of several companies, they are all outsourced. Nobody wants to employ 100 drivers, manage 200 vehicles. Everybody outsources to companies that do these things. Okay, let's look at the HR departments of several companies today. People don't want to go through the employment route. We have certified HR companies that you could just call and say, okay, I need 200 staff, this field, and they deliver. That's partnership, that's collaboration. And I believe strategic leadership should look at ways we could collaborate with other economies, other thriving economies, and see what are these people doing? What's happening in Uganda? Why is everybody going to Senegal? What's going on in SA right now? And let's find out what are they doing? What can we adopt? What do they have? What do we have that we could offer? It's amazing that, the Nigerian economy is so strong and thriving. But if we collaborate more, we'll see efficiency of our resources. So strategic leadership should employ social capital expansion.
Thank you. I will come back to you for your closing remark, but let me quickly go to Alhaji Sali. Alhaji Sali, just in case we fail to collaborate, just in case we fail to recognize that leadership is king, just in case we fail to take into account societal need, what signals are we going to get that we're about to collapse? Or what signals, what practical example will send signals to us that an entity is about to collapse? Over to you, Alhaji. Alhaji, over to you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, the network here has really been bad. I've been on and off to try to see that things are working well. Yeah. Hello, am I
Yes, on? We can hear you. We can hear you, Alhaji.
Yeah. Yes, sometimes these signals are not really visibly out for people to understand at first point. But before I get to that point, I think I need to make a little contribution to what Ndidi has said. Yes, I very much agree with her because there is no one-size-fits-all solution. But of course, we can look at best practices and see what we can grab from there and then try to domesticate it. That is really great and will very much help to move our performance and our corporate existence. Why I said again, it's also not easy to notice this shortcoming at first instance. One can take the example of what happened in 2001 during the Aaron Anderson, Palmalite, Welcome, and what have you. Those were establishments that the world has seen to be driving the world economy, but somehow, somewhere along the line, they were not really moving up to expectations. Just some few months to that instance, Enron was somehow among one of the 10 largest companies in the US. But just some few months thereafter, they were very much exposed, and then the world get to show their strength. So the warning signal actually comes from inability of the governance, that is adhering to governance culture, corporate governance culture. It also happens when you notice that there is a insider abuse within the corporate setting. Again, politicking and what have you can also be part of the constraints that really continue to expose these organizations. But like I said, by and large, it's not something very easy for it to be noticed. However, there are 4 critical points which must be put in place for every corporate organizations for them to really exist. One, there has to be this transparency. I recall Prof also mentioned that in his contribution. Again, accountability is also a very key component. Leaders must try to be accountable to what they do, and then their stewardship is also something that will drive the processes. And above all is the integrity of purpose.
Thank you, Alhaji. Let's stop on the integrity. Let's stop on the integrity of purpose. We don't have much time. Thank you so much, everyone, all panel members, for viewers on YouTube, on Instagram, and all other social media platforms. If you're just joining us, we are at the ICPSP Northern Nigeria Conference 2020 held today, 10/12/2020, with the team thinking beyond the obvious, the new agenda for leadership. And we've just rounded up, or we just concluded the first panel session with the sub-team governance is king. Speaking with me here and is Ndidi Oluwatumininu and Alhaji Sally. Thank you guys so much, you've done well. But before we go, Mr. Oluwatumininu, within 1 minute, we're really running out of time. Within 1 minute, can you please give a closing remark? Under 1 minute, please.
Okay, I'll try as much as possible. We all know that knowledge is power, and that power without control is useless. That means power not properly utilized is useless. So for leadership, you have knowledge, and the society has given you the power by either electing, selecting, or appointing you. You should try as much as possible to ensure that you make use of that power effectively, so that everybody would benefit, and then the nation can be in an enviable position.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluwatumininu, and thank you for being part of this panel. That was a very powerful closing remark. It sits around knowledge, and the leader should search for knowledge. Let me come to you, Ndidi. Ndidi, can you give me 1 minute closing remark, and what are your closing thoughts to our viewers all over the world here today?
Thank you, Ola. I'd like to say that we will continually seek to improve on strategic leadership as innovations and partnerships.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Continuous improvement on strategy, innovation, and partnership is indeed closing remark. That is very fantastic, and thank you so much for being part of this panel. I think I'm going to definitely do a collective appreciation on behalf of the Institute Council. Alhaji, can I come to you? Give me closing remark, 1 minute for all our viewers. 1 minute.
Yes, I think there couldn't be a better time to express this synergy about governance and leadership than now. I believe for ICPSC to have come with this idea and this team at this material time is really apt and can really help to drive our governance process in the country. Nigeria and worldwide need resilience for us to really survive, and I think there couldn't be a better situation to manage this reception than to have this conference at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you, all the panel members. On behalf of the Institute President, Dr. Folashade Arebame. I want to thank you indeed for coming. Thank you, Mr. Oluwatumi for being part of this panel. And Alaji, thank you so much for being part of this panel. We will now quickly move to panel 2. And if you want to stay back, you can. If you have other engagement, you are more than welcome to leave, and so that we can hand over to panel 2. I'm not going to be the chair of the panel 2. Kenny, are you chairing the panel 2? Okay, if you don't mind, can you unmute yourself, and then I can hand over to you. If you're just joining us, we have just concluded the fourth panel session for the ICPSP Northern Nigerian Conference 2020 with the team Thinking Beyond the Obvious, the New Agenda for Leadership. And that was the end of panel 1. I want to hand over to Mr. Kenny Omiyale, who is the chairman for panel 2 session. Mr. Kenny will give introduction, and I'm sure all the members of the panel are here. So I will put my camera off and hand over to you. Over to you, Mr. Kenny.
Hello, good afternoon. I would like to know if everyone can hear me loud and clear right now. Can everyone hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can hear you, and your reception is very clear. Your network is clear. You can go on.
Beautiful. Okay, everyone, you're welcome to the second panel session of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professionals Conference. And with me, I have some phenomenal guests who would also be taking charge of this panel session. And my name is Kenny Omiyale, and I will be the chairman for this particular panel. So with me, I have Mr. Olumide O. Idowu, who is also present here and will be taking part in one of the sessions we'll be having. His topic is going to be around the area of leadership, especially when we're looking at the roles of leadership in actualizing the objectives of public sector for projects. I also have with me Omobolanle, an exceptional lady, Omobolanle Benjamin, who would be talking about also leadership, but here we're looking at the role of leadership in sustainable economic development, especially when it comes to areas of job creation and job sustainability. While the third, but not the least person on the panel is Professor Olumoko Tajuddin, who would also be talking about the areas of leadership, especially when it comes to educational management when Nigeria is concerned. So I welcome everyone here, everyone online, everyone on every available social media platform, and everyone who is in the venue right now watching this. You're welcome to the second panel of this particular conference. I would like to hear a word from each of the panelists, just a brief opening, a brief remark. If we could start with Mr. Olumide. Mr. Olumide, are you here with us? Mr. Olumide Idowu.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Sorry, I think there is a little deviation because according to the time given to me, we were supposed to come on board by 1 p.m.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, so I'd really prepare myself towards that time, but that notwithstanding, I will do all I can in order to come in on board now. We have been told that we'll be talking about how do we achieve the objective of public sector projects. I have my background in finance and financial management, and in addition to that, I get involved in the issue of emotional intelligence, behavioral control, and cognitive behavioral therapy. I work with the Lagos State University and I've spent over 12 years in the public sector. And in addition to that, it's my involvement as a happy to be on this. I hope it will be a robust one. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Olumide, and we appreciate you even on a big change of time. You're still able to, make your time to be a part of this. You're very welcome here. The second panelist would also want to hear her opening remarks is Mrs. Omobolanle Benjamin. Please, over to you, Omobolanle.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Omobolanle Benjamin, and I am a human capital development enthusiast. I am a client retention specialist and a financial advisor. I'll be speaking on the topic leadership role in sustainable economic development and job sustainability. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. I would also like to confirm if Professor Olumiko Tajuddin is with us. I'm trying to check if he's available at the moment. He's supposed to talk about educational management in Nigeria, especially with the leadership roles. I believe that he might possibly be having a few technical challenges and is going to be joining us pretty soon. Now, moving forward, I want to crave the indulgence of our speaker. Obviously, I understand that Mr. Olumide might be having a bit of challenge now based on where he is, and also I will be wanting Mrs. Omobolanle to start off, this panel session, just so that Mr. Olumide could prepare for his session, which will be coming up after Mrs. Omobolanle's session. Now, the way it's going to run is after everyone has their brief session, then at the end of it, we're going to have questions, especially from our viewers and from everyone who has put in a few questions directing to certain individuals that they want them to answer such questions. I would also see that based on the question they are asked, the most suitable person who would need to answer that. So Mrs. Omobolanle, I would love you to commence your session as we talk about the topic of leadership roles in sustainable economic development and job sustainability. Over to you, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. Okay, I am not Mrs. yet. Okay, okay, that's just by the way. Then I would also love to ask, can I share my screen?
Yes, please, you may share your screen. Let me, yes, try it if you can share your screen now. You should be.
Okay, just a minute.
Mrs. Omobolanle, sorry, Ms. Omobolanle, I'm going to make you a host to share your screen. And once that is done, you have to return back the host to ICPSP HQ, okay?
All right, thanks.
You can go ahead and share your screen, please. Mr. Omobolanle, are you there?
All right, yes, I am, please.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if anyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. We're seeing a desktop at the moment.
All right. How about now?
Yes, we can see your screen. Chairman, you can unmute yourself if you have to speak. Okay, you can go on now.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I'll be talking about leadership role in sustainable economic development and job sustainability. And then I've broken this topic into bits so as to afford us better understanding on what leadership is and how it affects sustainable economy as well as job sustainability. So I've described a sustainable leader as persons that occupy managerial positions and then deploy their responsibilities with long-term sustainable development goals in mind. In other words, sustainable leadership is a type of leadership that is people-centered. And we cannot talk about sustainable development or sustainable economy without referring to the Sustainable Development Goals, which was adopted by the General Assembly of the UN in the year 2015, and which is a 17-point agenda, which has an holistic approach that builds on the principle of leaving no one behind. I want us to see some of these sustainable development goals and specialize or focus on goal 8, which talks about decent work and economic growth. I want us to know that Sustainable Development Goal 8 focuses on decent work and economic growth. This boldly states that the major goal of SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 8, is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for everyone. I want us to underline full and productive employment and decent work for all. We all here, members of panel, ladies and gentlemen listening to me, I want us to look back, think about where we work, think about the society, think about our workplace, and ask ourselves these questions. How far have we gone with this particular goal? The next thing I'll be talking about is economic development and job creation. In 2015, we had a vision that by 2020, there would be a developed and operationalized global strategy for youth employment and implemented global job pact of the International Labour Organization of the UN. Now, this job pact focuses on addressing social impact of global crisis on employment and proposes job-centered policies for countries to adapt based on their national needs. Some of these job pact policies are generating employment, extending social protection, respecting labor standards, promoting social dialogue, shaping fair globalization. In fact, the focus of this job pact is to promote jobs, protect people, respond to both people's agenda, and respond to economic needs. So I would love to ask a question, and I want each and every one of us to answer this question in our mind. What role does leadership play in ensuring job creation, full and productive employment, and decent work for all, reduce the number of unemployed youth, which drastically, of course, increases day after day, promote safe and secure working environment for all workers? I want us to see some of this leadership role and their impact. First thing is innovation, inspiration, communication, and empowerment. These are some and not all of the leadership roles and its effect on global economy. Innovation cannot be underestimated. A leader must be innovative. There must be clear-cut ideas, inspiration, problem-solving abilities. People must be inspired to tap into their inner potential and maximize their potential. There must be good communication skill. Leadership must ensure good communication, both within and external. Empowerment. Earlier I said that leadership is people-centered. We cannot talk about leadership without talking about the people. The people need to be empowered. Also, I'll be talking about leadership skills for sustainable economy. And one of the skills I'll be talking about is long-term visioning. There must be long-term vision, not just short-term, but long-term visioning. There must be ability to inspire and drive change. There is this saying that change is a constant thing. The only constant thing in life is change. Change is a major constant, like a constant scale that cannot be eradicated. Things change, technologies change, and we can all attest to that. Another leadership skill is ability to empower people. There must also be ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. This particular leadership skill, that is ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn, is very, very pivotal in driving change and also to ensure a sustainable economy and job sustainability. There must be innovative skills that help to create job, and as well as ideas that bring about sustainable job security. And this job security reminds me of a question that came to mind. Is there anything like job security? Well, you can answer that. Then team spirit is also a leadership skill that must also be gained, and also effective communication skill, which can never be left out in a sustainable economy. Also, the last thing, yes, I'll be talking about is impact of sustainable economic development on job creation. When the economy is sustainable, there is something called smashed goals. We have Sustainable Development Goal 8, which is decent work for all. I mean, decent work and economic growth. Once the impact of sustainable economic development on job creation is that we are going to smash this goal 8. There will be decent work for all, and maybe 90% of job security, because right now I don't think we have anything called job security. And even the job we have now, we are not even certain if it is one that is sustainable. Okay. Then, okay, I already talked about job security. And then another impact is more innovative and creative ideas that lead to more job creation. And with this, I hope I have not taken too much of my time or too much of your time. I want to say a very big thank you to you all. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Omobolanle. Okay, that is such a very important and fundamental topic, which a lot of people, are kind of affected by it. There is a quick question before we go into the major questions we have for today. When you were mentioning the areas where we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I'm thinking about it in the Nigerian concepts. What would you say are about 2 to 3 main things, especially when it comes to Nigerian economic management, core areas that you believe that we should start thinking about learning, unlearning, and relearning?
All right, thank you very much. I noticed a trend, and that is the fact that people who occupy managerial positions do not want to change from the status quo. This is very, very, very devastating and very, very dangerous to the growth of any organization and also the economy at large. So when it comes to status quo, the way things have always been, leaders must be able to learn the new norm, must be able to unlearn and also relearn. That is, let go of what is currently is and adopt change. Okay, then another thing that I would also like to talk about is mindset. When we talk about learning, unlearning, and relearning, we need to let go of some things that we believe is the right thing, which is actually not, based on what is currently changing. Look at technology, for example. Technology keeps evolving and keeps changing. Right now, people talk about artificial intelligence. Cash currencies now becoming cryptocurrencies. People are now going cashless. There must be a change of mindset. We cannot just afford to live in the past, but we must focus on living in the present. So that is what I mean when I say learning, unlearning, and relearning when it comes to leadership. And this also impacts on economic growth and development. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. I needed to push that because employment, employability, and economic acumen is one of the things that a lot of people are presently suffering from, based on the COVID-19 that happened, the whole pandemic, and how the world is trying to respond to that. Thank you so very much once again, Ms. Omobolanle Benjamin. I will let you rest for now as we move on to the next panelist who is going to share with us.
Before you go, Omobolanle, can you quickly return back the host to me, please?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I've done that. I've made you the host.
Okay, fantastic. No problem.
Okay.
Good.
Wonderful. Okay, so we'll be moving now to Mr. Olumide Idowu, who will be talking about how do we bring leadership into the area of public sector projects and how we can maximize that, especially in the Nigerian sphere. I would like to know, Mr. Olumide, if you're with us and you're ready to take this. Mr. Olumide, are you with us? It appears that Mr. Olumide isn't here at the moment. Is Professor Olumoko Tajuddin, is he with us? Okay, I believe that they might be having a few of technical difficulties from their end. But however, one of the things that everyone who is a participant here is going to take away is that every panelist and every speaker here has been judicious enough to make their slides available. So even especially for this panel session and the previous panel sessions, everyone will have the ability to actually go through and walk through the sessions, even as the panelists have mentioned, I've been able to go deeply into it. But when everyone has access to the materials, I believe that we would be able to make a lot more with what we have to do. So I would wait till Mr. Olumide gets back to me. But before then, I want to push in some of the questions that has been sent to Mrs. Omobolanle. The first question, which is from me, based on some of the things that you mentioned, is how would you say, especially when it comes to Nigeria's sustainable economy, employment, what factors do you think the COVID-19, the pandemic that happened, has really done, to either affect positively or negatively how our economy is? And what are the important things that you feel that when we begin to put it right, we can begin to see change for the better?
All right, Mr. Kenny, thank you so much for that question. I want to summarize your question because it is usually that's just my habit, okay? I want to believe that you are asking me the impact of COVID-19 on jobs generally.
Exactly.
And its effect on the Nigeria economy at the present.
That's right.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. All right, wow, COVID-19. Okay, well, some of us will attest to it that a lot of people, either close to us that we heard about, lost their job during the pandemic. This does not only affect the economy, and this is the effect is a ripple effect. This is how it affects the economy. It started with the individual. The effect of job loss starts with the individual. Then it translates to dependents. That is, people that are actually dependent on that particular person. Then from the dependent, it translates to the community. Because there is no how the community actually gains from every individual in that community. Then from the community, the ripple effect translates to the society. Currently, I do not know if we are all aware that Nigeria is currently battling with recession, and people are talking about another wave of recession. And in fact, some people are even talking about COVID-19, a second wave of COVID-19. May I let you know that currently some organizations are trying to reduce their staff size. I mean, an organization that's capable. Hello, please. I don't know if you can hear me. Please kindly confirm if you can hear me, please.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right.
Hello.
So, I think Mr. Olumide is back online. Welcome, sir. Okay, may I go ahead,
Thank
please?
you.
Yeah, please go ahead. After your answer, we'll get back to Mr. Olumide in a moment.
All right, thank you very much. So the effect of job loss has actually has a bad or big toll on the economy, and this has actually led to loss of so many things. And when it comes to reduction in standard of living or level of living, things have actually, prices of things have spiked up like double or times 100%. And the funny or amazing thing is that even those who currently have their job do not have their salary increased. Some are currently on a particular reduced salary percentage, and organization is not even ready to raise it to raise it back to 100%, because even the business is trying to get back on its feet. Businesses are trying to recover from the pandemic. This is not good on the economy. This is not good on the economy. So when we talk about job security on a range of 1 to 10%, I don't think we're even up to 1. Maybe we can just put it on, for the sake of being good, we can just put it on a level of minus 0.0000001%, because there is nothing like job security anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I think that just this is one of the reasons why such conferences are very important. Now, before we go back to that, I would like to appreciate Mr. Olumide Ido for coming back to us, even though you had to move your schedules a little bit. So we'd like to have you now so that you can go on to your section, and moving forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for the little delay. As I said earlier on, I was targeting 1 p.m. so needed to structure all I wanted to do, but at least we are here. Can you please give me permission so that I can share my screen?
Oh, okay, that will be granted. ICPS PHQ, could you please grant him the permission?
So Olumide, can you continue your opening remark?
Okay.
While we
yes, aside.
Also
to
mention that once you're through with your presentation, do you mind returning your post to ICPS PHQ?
Okay, no problem. Thank you. I'll be talking about a leadership role in actualizing the objectives of public sector projects. We should realize that if the objective of any task is not going to be achieved, there is no point embarking on such projects. Secondly, it is said that when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. So we must set out at the beginning, what is the objective? What are we out to achieve? I know in this part of the world, a lot of projects are being embarked upon. And sincerely, I tell you, not too many people involved in those projects are actually aware of the purposes of
those. Please
go
ahead and share your slide, please. Chairman, over to you.
Mr. Olumide, can you hear us? Mr. Olumide, your screen is not shared.
Such a project. So here we are going
to he's having a bit of network challenge. Mr. Olumide, can you hear us? Hello, Mr. Olumide. I would like to confirm if you can hear me, Mr. Olumide. Mr. Olumide, you're muted at the moment. Okay, we can see him sharing the screen now. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Olumide. It appears that we're having a bit of network glitch from Mr. Olumide's end. Hello, Mr. Olumide. If you can hear me, maybe if you could refresh so that you could have a better.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, you're great now. Please, you can reshare your screen and continue with your session.
Now, I can hear you now. Can you also hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Please go ahead by sharing your screen. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me now? You can hear me now. Okay, fine. Like I said, I'll be talking about public sector projects. We'll look at briefly in the introduction, we see the definition, we see managing objectives, managing the objectives of public sector project, then we look at leadership roles, then we conclude. The one leader
and leadership. You're not sharing your screen at the moment. I just wanted to confirm that with you. We seem to be having.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Great.
I want to know, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Mr. Olumide, we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, good. So I can continue now.
Yes, please share your screen.
Thank you. Yes, the screen is shared. The screen is shared. I hope you can see the screen.
We can't see it yet, but I believe it's just.
Mr. Chairman, can I suggest that he continue with presentation, even though we can't see his screen, just to.
The presentation, fine. Yeah. You can't see my screen, fine.
All right.
There's no problem. Now, if you, there's no problem. I said the word leader or leadership did not come into the English language as we have it today until the 13th century. And it came from the Anglo-Saxon, the word leading, which means to go forward or to go up to. And it was then used to describe the person at the head of an army. So today, researchers usually define leadership according to their individual perspectives. We realize that leadership is not only in government, the home front as leader, religious front as leadership. Of course, the community as leadership, the corporate environment as leadership. All these segments influences the definition we give to the word leadership. So it comes from individual perspectives and the aspect of the phenomenon which is most interested to the people defining leadership. So leadership definition can roughly be differentiated into different goals. We have goal-oriented, influence-oriented, we have vision-oriented, also coordination-oriented. All these aspects can give us definition of leadership. So in this context, leadership will be defined, or I will define it as the process of translating company's goal or an enterprise goal into visions, which are understandable and shareable by different stakeholders, groups, and influencing employees to share those visions. Also to coordinate work toward providing qualitative services for the benefit of the citizen. And don't forget, we are talking about public sector. So we cannot but talk about the citizen. So when you are talking about this unique process, it consists of a set of coordinated and control activity. That is a project with start and finish dates, which is undertaken to achieve an objective conforming to specific requirements. And of course, no matter what we do, there are constraints to it. And when we talk about any project, we have constraint of time, we have that of cost, then we have that of quality and resources. So when we talk about a project, we're talking about a planned set of activity, which must have a scope. And of course, the project must have time bound, it must have cost implication, the quality also must be put in place, then the resources constraint. Those are the things we look at when we are talking about a project. So how do we manage public sector projects? There is no project without an objective. So the first step to any project, for any project manager or a leader, is to determine what the objective of the projects are based on the information provided by the stakeholders. Time will not permit me. We have many stakeholders in every project. And that is why at times government will go into consultations. What do you need? How do you need it? Where should it be cited? All those things must be put in place, or else the best intentions of government may be misconstrued by the beneficiary of that project. In fact, Some of those projects, if the consultation is not done, it will be dead on arrival. So the objective are determined at the beginning of each project. It will also guide the decision moving forward. As a leader handling projects, you often find yourself faced with tough decisions. Yes, leadership is not a child's play. Tough decision, which you have to also be courageous enough to take appropriate decision. Your answer will always come down to determining which scenario best ensure the achievement of the project. So leadership, leaders are individual with leadership functions. So anyone in leadership role is first of all a person who needs creative and emotional intelligence skill for individual success, then project and corporate success. I will be approaching it from this angle, and thank God for the people who spoke earlier on and the last panel. They spoke about empathy, and those are core of the what we call emotional intelligence. The reason is not far-fetched. Emotion drives people, and people drives performance. When somebody sits at the end of an affair or is a leader on a project, part of the project is the people he has to manage. He must be able to connect with the people. So effective change leaders build one-on-one connections to support people who work with them. They go beneath the waterline on the iceberg to engage deeper motivation. And emotional intelligence is key to achieving this because it helps leaders to be a role model, connect with purpose, and build trust, which aid actualization of any task. I need to quickly point this to us. If we are talking about government, I want you to realize there are great minds working within government sectors. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, we have problems with attitudes. I normally tell people, intellectually, we can connect and engage with anybody all over the world. But attitudinally, that is where the problem is. So the issue of emotional intelligence is key if we are going to take care of attitudinal problem. So when we look at what are the roles of any leader in actualizing any project, the leader needs to take ownership of the whole project. He must be proactive, not reactive. He must adequately plan the project. He must be aware of his emotion. He must be able to express emotion appropriately. He must be able to manage conflict. He must also be able to cope with change effectively. Also, the leader needs to set realistic appraisal of strengths and limitations. Of course, the leader needs to give feedback to others sensitively. The leader doesn't have to drag the people into the mud. He doesn't have to demean the people. He doesn't have to talk rudely to the people before he wants them to do the work given to them. We should realize leadership is not the same thing as tyranny. So we must have that in mind as we work to achieve any project. You must also be able to receive feedbacks openly. Feedbacks, it could come in form of criticism. It could come in form of suggestion. As a leader, see it as feedback, accept it openly, work on what has been said. The leader needs to be decisive. He must be a good communicator. He must be able to manage data and fact, not uninformed optimism. It is not well, it is well. God will help us. No, there must be realistic carrying out of any task. If the leader is not there and you are everybody just assuming, the project will fail. The leader also needs to lead by example. He must have sound judgment. He must be a motivator. He must be diplomatic, and he should be able to delegate. Leader can create emotional responses in followers and communicate and instill commitment towards a common vision and create shared norms. Focusing on individual followers, leader should be supportive. It should be considerate. It should be empathetic. It should be caring and giving personalized attention. All this aid creating a feeling of community and connection, which in turn creates the feeling that fuel both motivation and transformation. I want you to realize of all the resources, factors of production, human being stands out. I needed to approach it from this angle. There is no point going to the field. There is no point planning big projects. There is no point spending so much without taking care of the human resources. If the people are not well taken care of, I'm telling you, the project will be dead on arrival. That is why emotional intelligence is key to actualizing the objective of government projects. I think with this little time, I want to stop here and await our question. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Olumide. You have given a bit of justice to that particular topic. I understand that that topic is actually a very huge thing that might be difficult to just put into just about 15 minutes of presentations. But thank you very much for that. Without wasting much of our time, I can already see a couple of questions which are already being asked. Now I'm going to ask this question. Some of them were already directed to Ms. Bolanle, as well as certain questions for Mr. Olumide. So I'll start with Ms. Omobolanle. There's a question here for you, which I'm going to read out. It says here, my question goes to Ms. Benjamin. My question is this: looking at Nigerian context today, are Nigerian leaders actually creating the jobs for sustainable growth and development? Also, are you sure that the country is doing enough to ensure that we are not left behind among the community of nations? I wouldn't know if you got that question or you want me to repeat it.
Okay, please, I would appreciate if you can repeat the question, Mr. Kenny.
Okay, so the question is, looking at the Nigerian context today, are Nigerian leaders actually creating the jobs for sustainable growth and development? Are you sure that the country is doing enough to ensure that we are not left behind among the community of nations? That's the question.
Okay, yes, I got the question. Thank you so much. All right. The first question that talks about leaders creating jobs, for sustainable economy. Actually, I don't like to blame leaders for our current situation. The reason is because I believe that leadership begins with every individual. So when we talk about what leaders are actually doing, we should actually talk about what we are doing to ensure a sustainable economy. All right. So that being said, although there are some, we can't neglect the fact that there are some things that we expect from our leaders. I mean, when we talk about governments, okay, there are some expectations. There are, at least before anyone coming to government, there are some political manifestos. So we all have expectations, all right? So when we talk about those expectations in terms of job creation, I don't think we are actually trying our best in that area. Then the second question that talks about, please, can you remind me the second question again, please? Mr. Kenny, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, hold on, let me get that question. I'm not left behind the Community of Nations.
Hello, Mr. Kenny, please, can you confirm if you can hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please, can you help with the second question that talks about us being left behind in the community?
Yeah, so the second question is also, are you sure that the country is doing enough to ensure that we are not left behind among the Community of Nations?
Oh, well, okay, that's a very, very funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry I used the word funny, but when we talk about the Community of Nations and we're talking about countries and UN, and then we talk about Nigeria, of course, we all can agree that we are not where we ought to be. We are not where we should be. So it would be a huge lie for me to say we are trying our best, because the truth is that we are not trying our best, because even the best is not enough. So everything still boils down to individual and corporate bodies. So we have to work hand in hand. We have to join forces together to do what we want to do and to get to where we want to get to. But right now, we are not where we should be. And are we lagging behind the Community of Nations? Okay. That one on a scale of 1 to 3. Let me say we are on 1. But that is obviously not true.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. One important thing I could garner from that is that most of the times when people direct complaints to leaders, we should start thinking of ourselves as leaders and start questioning ourselves, our intentions, to make sure that we actually give the leaders enough room to perform and do what they're supposed to do. There is a question that I will ask Mr. Olumide. You know, you mentioned a lot about the place of emotional intelligence, the place of empathy, and attitudes of nations. Now, if we're looking at it in a holistic view, especially when it comes to Nigeria, you know, you mentioned something that the attitudes of people goes a long way on how their performance, you know, is going to be. So for you, we're looking at Nigeria. What is the way forward? What can we do? Or what can we begin to do to move us towards that place of growth and development? So in your own, from your expertise, what are the few things that you believe that if everyone begins to do, then our attitude towards work, you know, and towards the public sectors is going to be a bit more pronounced?
Thank you very much. Number one, employment should be merit-driven. I am not against helping people to get employment. Oh, your uncle is there, your aunt is there, your grandfather is in one employment, but it should be merit-driven. In this part of the world, we have almost institutionalized mediocrity. And lately, I discovered that are good minds in government. I work with best of minds where I am in Lagos State University as I speak. People who chose to just be in government, it's not because they lack merit. And so far, so good. When I got into the employment, it was a stiff competition. Went through a lot of things. And the people that were brought on board, I can tell you today, stand out even in the system recognizes the fact that the way these people were recruited was merit-driven, and we can see it on them. Then secondly, I think there should be training and retraining. I make bold to tell you again, intellectually, Nigerians are great. Except this issue of attitude. And when people are not self-aware, I am a therapist. Apart from what I do, I said earlier on that I get it as a social entrepreneur. In fact, I did so much in the education space to train teachers, to train employees in government. And with the tool of emotional intelligence, when you are aware, when you know better, you will do better. Yes. We should erase this entitlement mentality. Merit should be given. Promotion should not be automatic, even in government. If you don't merit it, stay on the same post until you are able to step up your game. But if you do that in this part of the world, people will almost stone you. But all hope is not lost. I tell people, infrastructural development is government mandate. Intellectual development is our personal mandate. People working in every facet should be trained and retrained. And that is why I will keep acting on this issue of emotional intelligence. In the Western world, it has been blended into the curriculum. But in our world, it is not. So a lot of people are actually working with mental health problem who doesn't even know how to go about it. But when we talk to people, when we train and retrain them, and when there are structures in place where nobody can circumvent, I think everybody will sit up. And when you work with leaders who are not only empathic, but they are also assertive, you don't carry sentiment to the place of work. If you are not doing it right, let it be put straight to you that you are not getting your job done. And when we are praising you at the end of the year, your leader or your boss should be bold enough to mark you down because you didn't do the right thing. I think when we do that, the Western world, many of us are running to today, everybody is paying the price. I tell you, everybody is paying the price. If you go on the road, if you're on the train, if you're in the public bus, in your neighborhood, in the lobby, you don't just do things anyhow. So if you think our nation will be like that, without willing to pay the price they are paying there, I guess we are daydreaming. Wow. So everybody, like Mr. Mobalale said, see, people, the Western people, they didn't jump out of heaven. They had better attitude. They prioritize their nation. They prioritize the industry. Nobody is cutting corners. Contract is not being overbloated. People are not milking the nation dry because there was a common interest. All these things are ingrained in our attitude. If we don't change, mentally we may be sound. That which we gain by our IQ, we lose through our character. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Olumide. One thing I was able to get from your response is that Nigerians are naturally intelligent people, and we've seen that everywhere else in the world except in Nigeria. You know, you see a lot of Nigerians doing very well educationally, academics, you know, in whatever works of life they find themselves in. But it just seems as though there are still certain measures back home here that we need to put into consideration. So some of the things that Mr. Olumide mentioned, like emotional intelligence, training, and making sure that the people who are getting the right jobs are actually getting it because of merit, not because of sentiments or ethnicity or connection with whoever is giving that. I believe that Nigeria still has a long way to go, but I believe that there is still hope, and we can make sure that things begin to become better, you know, for us. I will really want to thank Ms. Omobolanle and Mr. Olumide for this enlightening session. You know, it's such a thing that I believe a lot more people need to be aware of. Now, in closing up this panel so that we don't spend too much of time on it, I will need to have just in about a minute, you know, what your closing remarks would be, especially when it comes to how moving forward, Nigeria, we can do better, we can become better, so that we can have better results for some of the works that we have. And I would want to start that once again with Ms. Omobolanle. You know, on your closing remark, how do we move forward, and what are the basic points we can start off from here? Over to you, Ms. Omobolanle.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kenny. Thank you, Mr. Olumide. I would like to say this to everyone listening to me. Leadership begins with you, and life becomes beautiful when you as a leader, you are people-centered. You know, the beginning of sustainable leadership is people-centeredness. And when we do things with the mindset of a long-term goal and with the heart of having people, you know, with the mindset of the benefit that people will get from whatever we are doing, the world will become a better place. Then we can now talk about Nigeria competing among UN nations. Then we can now talk about job security and job creation. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Thank you, Mr. Olumide. God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Omobolanle, for that. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. So, Mr. Olumide, let's hear your closing remark.
I will want to close by giving a charge to ICPSP. For me, if I don't believe in a venture, I don't join. I believe ICPSP is going to cause a disruption. And that's why I spoke with the director in charge of education. Every other thing you are adding in the curriculum, you cannot leave out emotional intelligence. I will want to say, leader at every cadre must be taught, trained, and retrained on this issue of emotional intelligence. Don't forget, emotion drives people, and people drives performance. If you don't want a boss to come to the office because the family front is ruffled and begin to transfer aggression in the office, if you don't want an employee productivity to reduce because there is problem at home or otherwise, I think we need to act more on this issue of emotional intelligence. People should be self-aware. They should be able to manage their emotion. They should be able to manage the emotion of others. They should be good team players. They should be futuristic and visionary. I tell you, if the institute can champion this cause, and tell you Nigeria is going to experience disruption, especially in the public sector. Thank you very much for the time, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Mr. Mobalanle, thank you for coming. Mr. Kenny, thank you very much. I can see Mr. Sharafa is on now. Olanrewaju, thank you so much for the privilege given to me to be part of this great event.
Okay, thank you very much, for our panelists. We want to appreciate you, for taking the time and giving us part of your wealth of experience and expertise. This is where we're going to be ending this second panel, and I believe that you have learned a lot from it. So we'll be handing it over now back to Mr. Sharafa to take it from here.
Thank you so much, Kenny, for that powerful session, which you moderated, of course, as the chair of this panel. It was very nice to hear from all the panelists. Omobolale, you've done justice to the topic that you've been started to speak on. And as usual, Mr. Olumide is speaking so much about emotional intelligence, and that's one area that sits close to the Institute NYSC scheme. In the Institute NYSC scheme, we have a mandatory subject that NYSC students must take around the public sector. One of the subjects at the mandatory level is corporate governance. And corporate governance, we have some topics that touch on emotional intelligence. So you're very correct that the Institute would disrupt professionalism, would disrupt curriculum around professional exams, and which I think we are doing so. So well done, guys. You've done a good job. And I think on behalf of the president of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professional, Dr. Folashade Arebami, I want to say thank you to you guys for coming, and thank you for that professional discussion. Well done, and we look forward to you engaging with the Institute in future, in the future. Thank you. Just to mention before you go, and just for all the viewers that are here, the Director of Education of the Institute, and who also manages the CPDs and events, have asked me to inform all of us that ICPSP will be in Dubai in February 2021. The Dubai conference will be rolled out on the Institute website, in which case we are all, whether you are members or non-members, you are open to sign up for this conference. So I look forward to seeing you all in Dubai. Kenny, Mr. Olumide, Omobolale, and everyone here. I think we should go to Dubai, and we should also go and have some professional discussion. Also, the chairman for the ICPSP International Conference, Mr. Taiwo Moshood, is going to be leading delegates alongside with the president of the Institute to London in March 2021. So we will be in London, which obviously I would also be delighted to be part of that conference. Details of both Dubai conference and London conference will be on the Institute website. So this draws us to the end of the second panel. If you're just joining us from social medias, Twitters, YouTube, and of course Facebook, what we're doing now is we are currently at the first ICPSP Northern Nigerian Conference 2020, held today, 10th December 2020. We are speaking around the theme, thinking beyond the obvious, the new agenda for governance. And that was just the panel session 2 that touch on several important topics, emotional intelligence, sustainability. Thank you so much, Kenny. Now, I will be going to the Vice President of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professional, Malam Shehu Idris. Malam will be giving vote of thanks, and of course, will speak a little bit around what we're looking at in the future as a professional body. Malam Idris is the Vice President of the Institute, and Malam Idris is a professional who's got track record and who is knowledgeable at what he does. He is a chartered manager of the Popular CMI UK. So Malam, over to you. Do you want to please say some few words to appreciate all our delegates, keynote speakers, the president, the council, the institute, the secretariat, and everyone. Over to you, Malam.
All right, thank you. Our dear moderator, Mr. Sharafa Olanrewaju. Thank you so much. So our invited guests, our staff, our colleagues, all protocols observed. I wish to express my profound gratitude for our colleagues, to our state partners that actually make this event really successful. To my left is Alhaji Suleiman Usman, a Deputy Director at the Kano Internal Revenue Services. They've really supported us to ensuring that this event happens seamlessly. To the president of the Institute, Dr. Folashade, who has traveled all the way from Lagos and has been very busy since the day she arrived here. We've been moving around with her to visit the state partners and collaborators just to make sure this event goes on seamlessly. And to the speakers, the lead speakers, the professionals, the contributors, and as you can see, all the speakers are synonymous in making emphasis on corporate governance, structures, process, how to make leadership good and to the betterment of the common man. So I believe we are just starting with a young institute, very ambitious, and I invite all participants virtually and those that are physically here to please leverage on this opportunity and register your interest in the membership of this institute. We have so many things on our plate. By February, we are considering an offshore event at Dubai. March, another event is coming up at the UK. Then a lot of other events across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So I thank you all. I thank you all, and I wish everybody's. I wish you safety back home and your workplaces. And I believe you will propagate our message to all those friends and family members that couldn't make it to the event. And we have your contact. We will continue to follow up on the membership and collaborating with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Shehu Idris. Madam Shehu Idris is the Vice President of the Institute of Corporate and Public Sector Professional. That was a powerful vote of thanks from you, Madam Shehu. Madam Shehu has been leading on ICPSC projects in Kano and of course in the northern Nigeria, and we are very delighted to say that we are strong. We are collaborating very strong with stakeholders and engaging stakeholders very much so in Kano, and of course we are looking forward to developing or extending our partnership. At the beginning of Alhaji's remark, I mentioned that Alhaji is a chartered manager of the popular CMI in the UK, and one of the things the Institute Council is considering is to forging alliance with CMI UK and other education partners in the UK. Currently, ICPSP is partnering with some UK education provider that allows you to do your master's and your degree at 40% discount. So it's something to consider. If you're a member of the Institute, you can speak to the registrar or you can speak to the secretariat of the Institute. So Alhaji, thank you so much for all that you are doing at the council level. Thank you so much for supporting the Institute and the energy that you've put in to ensure that the Institute has got a huge northern representation. And congratulations to you also for the successful courtesy visit that you had yesterday, visiting the Inland Revenue Services and Internal Revenue Services and all other stakeholders. So well done to you, and I trust that under the leadership of Dr. Folashade Arebame, in which case you support as the Vice President, the Institute will experience a tremendous growth. Now, before we close, I would like to go to the chairman of the conference, the person of Mr. Ganiu Latif. Mr. Ganiu Latif chaired this conference, and these have been a successful event that he has personally led. He flew from Lagos to Kano. He's currently in Kano. You can see him at the back there behind Alhaji, and he has done extremely well putting together all of the content and reaching out to speakers. And I suppose it is important to hear from you, Mr. Ganiu, and perhaps you can share some few remarks with the audience. Over to you, Mr. Ganiu.
Yeah, good evening all. I'm Ganiu Lateef Adebayo, and it has been a great day over the couple of weeks planning this conference, reaching out to all our speakers. And I thank all our speakers. Firstly, I'd like to thank the president of the Institute, Dr. Folashade Ayebame, and our vice president, Madam Shehu Ibrahim Idris, and all council members for their support. We've been in Kano since yesterday, and the madam has shown us great leadership traits and support. So I'd like to say thank you, first of all, to all of them. And secondly, I'd like to thank all ICPSP staffs for their support over the weeks and over these few days. There was of commemorations. I thank you all. This Kano conference cannot be a success without you all. I appreciate you all. And I hope and pray that we'll have much more successful conferences later on in the years to come, both with our Dubai conference and our UK conference. And I'd also like to personally thank the Deputy Director of Kano State Inland Revenue Service and the Director of Operations, Kano Inland Revenue Service, Alhaji Gambo Lawan, and Alhaji Sulaiman Osman, who hosted us yesterday at the Kano State Inland Revenue Service. I will pay a visit to the Executive Chairman of Kano State Internal Revenue Service, and will present him with an award of recognition for his drive in ensuring that Kano State revenues keep internal revenue generation keeps moving higher and higher. And we are duly welcome. I would say thank you. We also say thank you to the head of service of Kano State. We paid a visit there yesterday also, and we were welcome. And we were welcomed by the Director of Public Enlightenment. She received us. I also like to say thank you to her. I also like to thank our strategic partners. Firstly, G. Osagi & Co. for their support, and also to thank our training partners in the UK, London Center for Training and Development, which they are envisioning all the UK programs that we are having, both the BSc top-up, MSc top-up, MBA top-up, and other degree programs such as doctorate top-up program, all of which we are having, all of which are open to our members. So I would like to thank specifically our keynote speaker, Professor Kabiru Isa Dandago, a professor of accounting at Bayero University, Kano. He has shown great determination and support to the Institute towards this conference. I'd like to say a big thank you to him. I also to apologize to him for the network issues we have today. And I also like to say a big thank you to our lead speaker, Mr. Benedict Anyalekeya, for also support, because I reached out to some other people and not all of them give us positive feedback. So it is worthy for us to say thank you to all of them. I also like to say thank you to our two chairmen, our National Treasury, Mr. Alangedu Sharafa. He has been the moderator as well as the chairman of the first panel. And as also our moderator for today, I'll say a big thank you to you, sir, for your support over time. I also like to say a big thank you to my colleague. He's a great trainer, an excellent person in content creation. He's also an entrepreneur, Mr. Kenny Umiyale. I say a big thank you to you, first of all, for accepting to partake in this conference at a short notice. I say thank you. And I also like to thank my, I call him my uncle, Uncle Tumilino Lowe. He was also my supervisor at the audit firm where I trained Agbaje and Complain. I also like to thank him for accepting to speak at this event and share his thoughts. I also like to thank all other speakers, specifically Alhaji Saleh Adamukwaro. He's a technocrat and industrialist and a proprietor of Arihan School. I say big thank you to you, sir. He said it specifically that my constant reminder is what prompted him to be at this conference. So I was honored to have him here today. He's the two speaker that were hosted in Kano here. But also I would like to thank the entire staffs of Kano Inland Revenue Service. Apart from them hosting us yesterday, they also delighted us with their presence here today. We initially planned for everybody to dial in through their phones and laptops to be able to partake at the conference, but we also apologize for the network issues that we've faced. But we rest assured that all the papers of all the speakers are available with us, from the keynote speaker, the lead speaker, and all the other speakers in each panel. Their papers will be sent to each of your individual email address. And once you go through it, if you have any questions or require any clarifications on any issues, we'll be happy to have your email sent to the Institute, which will forward to each of the speakers to have their feedback. And rest assured that we'll reach out to you also. And also, I think that is all for now, because I can't, I'm very happy today because of the success of the conference. Alhamdulillah, I say thank you, Allah. And okay, I think that is all from my side.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I understand that you are much more delighted. I know that you're very pleased that you have organized a successful conference. I must say a huge thank you to you on behalf of the Council of the Institute, perhaps for being the pioneer chairman of this conference. We have not held, this is the first Kano conference that we are having, and you led the conference, you led the committee, you put together the content, you reached out. In fact, you took risk by flying from Lagos to Kano together with the president. So I want to congratulate you. I suppose this will sit close to your heart that you've made positive impact as far as the professionalism is concerned, and it's definitely go into your CV as a track record for you. Congratulations once again. And the registrar of the Institute, Mrs. Omolara Delakun, asked me to announce that if you want to be state coordinators for the Institute, in which case you want to at least hold 1 or 2 events in a month in your state, you want to represent the Institute in your state, you want people who want to become member of the Institute to come through you, the opportunity is now open now. The council of our institute will be looking at application of all state coordinators. So please send your application, your CV to info@icpsp.org, then stating that you want to be the institute state coordinators. The only 3 states that are not available now is Kano is not available because that's the state where our vice president is from, and to be state coordinator in the state of the vice president is very difficult. So another state that is not available is Abuja. Abuja is where our institute headquarters is, and we're very much reaching out to stakeholders in Abuja, so you can't be state coordinator in Abuja. Lagos also is not available because obviously we have huge presence in Lagos. So, but all other states are available. If you have a very good consultancy firm, or you have a good link with the NYSC and you want to be state coordinator, please reach out to the registrar, or you can speak to Mr. Ganiu. The issue will be more than happy to consider your application. Also, another thing that the registrar wants me to say here is that if you have any idea and you want to speak about any topic that is of relevance to corporate and public sector professionals, ICPSP is more than happy to host your event, give you the platform to speak to the world, and we will be more than glad to ask the Institute Secretariat to support you, give you the online platform and promote your event on the Institute website. We have partners with the the Lagos State Universities, the BOSA and the registrar are members, and we have good relationship with LASU. We have good relationship with the Nigeria Institute of Sports, and we are also developing much more collaboration in country. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've done well today, and history will put it on record that we have made positive impact to our nation. As I'm drawing conclusion, I want to thank you all for attending the ICPSP First Northern Nigerian Zonal Conference, Thinking Beyond the Obvious. Just one last thing to say, the president is saying that this is not our last event for the year, that she's probably going to be hosting all members and non-members for the end of the year party in Lagos. So if you are in Lagos, keep an eye on the Institute website and probably join the end of the year party in Lagos. So this is not our last event. The details of the end of the year party will be published, and I suppose that might be streamed online as well. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Yes, you want to say something, Mr. Ganiu? We can't hear you, Mr. Ganiu. We can't hear you. Can you use Alaji's? Yeah, we can't hear you. Maybe you should use Alaji's computer. Use Alaji's computer and unmute Alaji's computer. Can you unmute that? Unmute that. Yes, please.
Fine. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Okay,
yes, we just want to announce that the Institute has approved honorary fellow for the Executive Chairman, Kano State Inland. They can hear me now?
We can hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to announce that the Institute has approved an honorary fellow for the Executive Chairman, Kano State Internal Revenue Service, an honorary fellow for Alhaji Gawan Gambo Lawan, and also honorary fellow for Professor Kabiru Issa Dandago, as well as Alhaji Malam Saleh Adamu Kwaro. The council has approved their fellowship, and also all the certifications and all other honors will be dispatched to them once the membership number has been unveiled. So we just want to make that announcement to be on record, so that everyone will be informed of our decisions and subsequently our actions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for that announcement. And I used to say that new members to the Institute is new energy. New energy is growth. Growth is success. Success is exactly what we want for the Institute. Thank you for the announcement that we are adding more members to the Institute, perhaps a big week for that matter. So thank you so much. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw this conference to an end on behalf of
one last thing, yeah? One last comment. We also send, we have certificate of attendance for those live here in Kano, to recognize them for partaking at this event. And for all those that have joined us virtually, your certificate of attendance will be sent to your email address. And also, okay, that's just it.
Do I have the permission of the President to close the session, please? Does the President want to make any closing remark? Any closing remarks?
Come here. No, you come here.
Closing remark from the President?
That's closing remark.
You said closing remarks.
Just say if you have anything to add.
Any closing remark, President?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Nothing much. I will hand over to my Vice President in person of Madam Shehu. And I want to say thank you for coming. Thanks for hosting us. Honestly, the most painful thing I felt right now is that I can't speak Hausa. At which I could express and say, now go there, so say, now go there, fala. I don't know, don't laugh, don't worry. It is now go there, right? You get the now go there. If you don't get the fala or the so say. So I want to say thank you very much. So I will hand over the talk to Malam. You're giving your
So thank you, Mr. Thank you, President. Thank you so much. I do hope that you will have a lovely photo session there in Kano, where you'll be having different pictures that we can see on the Institute website. Thank you. Look after yourself and return back to Lagos safely. And thank you to all our viewers online. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Yeah. Thank you. And that concludes the conference for Kano. And good luck. Looking forward to seeing you in our future event. Bye. Thank you.